Hello everyone, this is Keith Bailey coming at you with a late picks video. Been very busy. Um, Christmas coming up and everything like that, so I apologize ahead of time for the late video. Games are taking place on Saturday, which is interesting. Very interesting. Um, it's going to be a little weird. However, it is week 16. Uh, I don't think teams want I don't think 32 teams or 30 teams want to play on Christmas Day. So, quick recap. All I have to say is wow. I still have no words. Here I was 2 weeks ago as a Titans fan going into games against the Broncos and the Chiefs. I didn't expect to win either one because they're the Titans. They don't win games like this. They just don't. Not against the defending Super Bowl champs and one of the best teams in the AFC in their place. That's what just happened. We don't win those games. I would have been surprised if we went 1-1 against these two teams. That's why that win against the Broncos surprised me. I was very shocked. But going 2-0 against these guys? What? And I'll get to them when I get but all I have to say is all off season my fellow prognosticators know this too. I did nothing but fight for Tennessee because I felt like they weren't getting the respect that. Well, and who would? I mean, they had won 5 games collectively the last 2 years, but a lot of people were projecting them to go 2-14, 3-13, 4-12, 5-11, records like that. And the entire time I'm and 5-11. That's okay. I could deal with the 5-11s, but the 2-14s, the 3-13s, I did everything I could to paint a picture of like this is what we did, this is what we did, this is who we got, this is how we've changed, this is what we've added. We have DeMarco Murray now too, and people still said 3, 4 wins, and I'm just sitting there like, okay, okay, wait till this year. Wait until you see, because I've been saying that this is a team that they're gonna get 7 wins this year, and I think you better watch out for them. Because they're not gonna go 2-14. They're gonna have a record more like 7-9 or something like that. You're off on your prediction. I didn't expect 8-6. I didn't expect 8-6, and I was the one fighting for them. All right, I'll talk about them more later. I'm gonna get to the games. We're gonna start with tonight's game. Janoris Jenkins, I believe, is out for the Giants. However, I'm still picking the G-Men. I am putting them on upset alert though, because the Eagles play well at home despite the fact they've lost the last couple games at home. This is also a division rivalry. The Giants will be tested in this game, and a win, I believe, locks the Giants up for a playoff spot. So I made a bold prediction in my prediction video before the season started. Just want to throw this out there. I said the New York Giants will go to the NFC Championship game and play the Seattle Seahawks. That was my prediction. Well, they're on the edge of making the playoffs, and the Giants were a team that not a lot of people were looking at to really make the playoffs. So, I mean, I'm getting there, right? It doesn't sound like such a crazy pick now, does it? But I think the Giants take this game 24-16 over Philly. Next up, we got the Dolphins at the Bills. This game I have my eye on because it is huge for me as a Titans fan. I need Miami to lose. And yes, I've actually picked every single team that I think needs to win this weekend, but I did everything I can to avoid bias in it and just look at the fact that this is the Miami Dolphins traveling to take on the Buffalo Bills in the winter, in the dead of December. in the snow-covered area that is Buffalo. And this is a game the Bills are built to win. They have a running game. They can run on Miami. They can stop the run. The Bills I don't think are going to get swept by Miami. So I believe the Bills at home get this win to go to 8-7, and I think they get the win 30-24. Next up, we got the Jets at the Patriots. New England, are you kidding me? Do I have to say anything to convince you otherwise? Patriots, my nose itches. Patriots win by a score of 42-14 over the Jets. The Jets seem to have just mailed it in. They're done. Next up, and I am nervous. Yes, this is the Titans at the Jaguars. I am shaking in my boots about this game. I really am. The Jaguars have lost most of every single game they lost after their Thursday night blowout at the hands of Tennessee have been by 10 points or less. Every single loss. They've been in games. They have blown games. This game right here is a chance for Tennessee to show how far they have come as a football team. This game puts them in position for a de facto playoff game in Week 17. Win and you're in. This game does. The only thing that stands in the way of the Houston Texans are those pesky Jacksonville Jaguars that like to steal one win every single year from this Titans team. For the last 7 years, these two teams have gone 1-1 against one another for the last 7 years. And the Jaguars are riding a 9-game losing streak, which scares me because you almost have to think, I mean, they got to win at one more game, right? They can't lose out their season. So it's like, do they have to win one more game? And then another thing that worries me is now they have an interim coach, and us Titans fans know what happened against our last interim coach we played. We got thumped at the hands of the Dolphins. So, I mean, there are a lot of things that I'm very nervous about. That and the fact that we actually haven't won in Jacksonville since, I believe, 2013. It's been that long. We lost to them in 2014 on Thursday Night Football around this time, actually. And then we lost to them last year on Thursday Night Football yet again in Jacksonville. I mean, it's just the entire season has come down to this game. Because if Tennessee loses to Jacksonville, we don't deserve to make the playoffs. Even if the Texans lose to the Bengals, we don't deserve to make the playoffs if we lose this game. You can throw up a resume and say, hey, look at who the Titans have beaten this year. They've taken out the 9-4 Lions, the 9-5 Lions, the 8-6 Packers, the 9-5 Dolphins, the 10-4 Chiefs, and the 8-6 Broncos. So people who say, oh, the Titans haven't played anybody, yeah, they have. And their losses have come at the hands of the Vikings when they were on their hot streak, the Oakland Raiders, and the Colts, who the Titans don't know how to beat. The only teams with like legit losing records that the Titans have beaten this year are the Browns and the Bears and the Jaguars. The first two, they barely won. So maybe this game will be a testament to how far they've come. If they sweep Jacksonville, Tennessee, I believe, is going to the playoffs. I believe, actually, no matter what happens, if we lose to Jacksonville, I believe Tennessee will have a winning record because I believe we will beat the Texans at home in Week 17. But this game, I can't stress the importance. I just can't, and that is all I'll talk about. And we've blown games like this before. We've lost to the winless Colts at 0-13. We've lost to the 0-9 Jaguars. We lose these types of games. If we win this, it will really show, more so than the Broncos or Chiefs victories, how far this Titans team has come. To be able to beat the defending Super Bowl champs and the Kansas City Chiefs on the road back to back, and then travel to Jacksonville in what is a trap game and take care of business, would go a long way. I believe Tennessee wins 24-17, but I am wary of these Jaguars. I am wary and I am nervous. All right. Next up, we got the Vikings at the Packers. Minnesota. It is almost surprising how Tennessee lost to this team in Week 1. Now that I think about it, they're terrible. The Vikings would get slaughtered if those two teams were to play again. I mean, it's not even their fault. I mean, they've lost so much this year, and yeah, they have Adrian Peterson back, but you lost your franchise quarterback. The Vikings are going to be bad next year. If Teddy Bridgewater returns with a vengeance, the Vikings are going to be a team to look out for. But Green Bay is on fire right now, and I believe Green Bay and Detroit are on a collision course to determine the division champion in Week 17. Packers win this game 31-20 over the Vikings. Next up, we got the Chargers at the Browns. 0-15 for Cleveland. San Diego gets their 6th win of the year. I believe the Chargers win 30-13 over Cleveland. The Browns have mailed it in a long time ago. They're getting blown out in all their games now. They're no longer competitive. And this team's just a mess, okay? Next up, Redskins at Bears. I'm going with the upset here. I am picking the Chicago Bears because the Bears have been impressive lately. They may not have won a lot recently, but you look at the Bears, and I said this in my last video. I said in my last video that I believe the Bears will put up a fight against the Packers. And last I checked, the Bears did put up a fight against the Packers. Packers almost lost that game, actually. Not for a 60-yard completion to Jordy Nelson. Green Bay was punting the ball and giving it to a red-hot Chicago that had just reeled off 17 points with Matt Barkley at the helm, who has looked pretty decent for the Bears. And the Redskins, the wheel seems to have come off a little bit. So Washington is in a load of trouble. Don't control their own fate, as far as I know now in the playoff picture. And the Bears, I believe, and I said the Bears are a lot more competitive at home. That was proven when the Packers went to Chicago and had fits. I think the Bears win this. I think they win it 24-20 over the Redskins. Next up, we got the Falcons at the Panthers. This is the Falcons' opportunity. This game is their opportunity to show that they're not a one step forward, 2 steps back, because that's all it has been. I am putting them on blast right now because all I have done this year is move them up little by little, and then they'll drop a game, a big game. And I don't think the Falcons, since they started so hot, like they started what, 4-1. Atlanta, they've gone like win loss win win loss win loss. I mean, there's just they're all over the board. So this is Atlanta's chance to show everyone that they're not going to take that step back, because guess what? Tampa's right on their ass. Next up, and I said I believe the Falcons win this game 24-19 over Carolina. Colts at Raiders. Oakland, I believe, gets the win here, moving them to 12-3. Indianapolis looked impressive last week, which you can pretty much assume they're going to look like crap this week because that's how their season has gone. Yeah, they'll look like Super Bowl contenders one week. Are you kidding me? They looked like a Super Bowl contender last Sunday. It wasn't even close. And then the week before, they lost to the Brock Osweiler-led Texans. I mean, this Colts team is way too inconsistent. And because they had such a good game last week, that means they're going to have a bad game now. So the Oakland Raiders, I believe, get their 12th win of the season. Um, and I think the Raiders get the win here by a score of 34-29. I think the Colts keep it close. Next up, we got the Buccaneers at the Saints. I said it. Buccaneers weren't. They played a good game. They did their best against the Cowboys, but Winston threw 3 interceptions. They couldn't stop Ezekiel Elliott. Tampa was shown that they're not that good yet, but they're pretty good. However, the Saints, I believe, get the win here. It's not every day you're going to hold Drew Brees with 0 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Tampa Bay was lucky last time they played the Saints because with all those turnovers by New Orleans, Tampa Bay still barely beat the Saints. And now you're playing in New Orleans. And now the Saints, I believe, are going to just do damage to this Tampa offense, or this Tampa defense. As good as their defense has been, I believe the Saints do what they can and expose them a little bit here. I will kudos to the Buccaneers if I am wrong on this, because I like Tampa, but I believe the Saints get the win here by a score of 34-21 over the Buccaneers. Cardinals at Seahawks. This game won't end in a tie, like it did last time. The Seattle Seahawks at home are just really good. Unless, actually, you know what? The Seahawks string of like alternating amazing performances with duds is at play here. So they might lose this game. But I think the Seahawks take it 16-6 because it's going to be that type of game. 49ers at Rams. The Rams, unfortunately for my sake, get the win here. But who cares? Both these teams suck. Both of these teams mailed it in a long time ago. Both of these teams were both just blown out by the Falcons. I mean, these teams aren't even competitive. It's almost disgusting. Rams, I guess. What? 17-10? Okay. Next up, we got the Bengals at the Texans. If Tennessee loses to Jacksonville, all Titans fans, attention shift to this Christmas Eve night game right here. Because at that point, Tennessee fans would be the biggest Cincinnati Bengals fans in the history of the NFL. Other than Bengals fans, actually. Because the Cincinnati Bengals would have to beat the Texans for the Week 17 game to still matter. Because if Tennessee loses and Houston wins, Houston wraps up the division, and the only chance Tennessee would have at a playoff spot is by an way outside shot of securing a wild card spot, which isn't completely out of the question. I'll elaborate after this pick, but it's a lot would need to go right. Let me put it that way. All right, Bengals, I believe, win, and here's why. They've been competitive recently, and the Texans are making quite a bold change at quarterback, Tom Savage. And yeah, he looked good against the Jaguars, but he was playing a 2-win team. Granted, the defense is solid for Jacksonville. They have a good defense. But they're a 2-win team. They're terrible. I mean, that's all I gotta say. I mean, Tom Savage, yeah, he came in and he played well. The Bengals, though, pose a bigger challenge to Houston than Jacksonville. They're getting AJ Green back. That means they'll have a more potent offense than what the Jaguars rolled into Houston with last week. They would have a more potent offense anyways without AJ Green. So Tom Savage is going to need to put up some points, and I don't think I can rely on him to do that just yet. I want Tom Savage to be successful, just not in his next 2 weeks, pretty much, is what I'm saying. But I believe the Bengals get the win here, get the upset, I should say, by a score of 24-14 over the Texans. Next up, we got the Ravens at the Steelers. I believe the Steelers lock up the division with this game. Both of these teams are good for splitting, and the Ravens won the previous matchup. The Steelers make the Ravens defense look terrible. Because the Steelers, when they roll on all cylinders, which they have been rolling on all cylinders, I believe are the biggest threat to the Patriots in the AFC right now. Steelers get the win by a score of 31-26 over the Ravens. Broncos at Chiefs. Kansas City gets the sweep. Denver's offense cannot match the intensity of that defense. Denver's offense is bad. And Kansas City, I believe, rebounds at home. This isn't a team that loses 2 straight home games, and I think KC gets the win here, 20-16 over Denver, locks up a playoff spot. Now pause before I go to the last game. I said I would talk about playoff scenarios for my beloved Titans at the wild card position if things happen to go south, which I hope they don't, but in case they do, for you Titans fans out there, we make the playoffs. We need the Dolphins to lose out, the Ravens to lose out, and we need Denver to lose 1, I believe. Yes? Yes. Yes. Now, that sounds like a lot, but consider this. The Dolphins, we need them to lose out. The Dolphins play at Buffalo, and then they play the Patriots in Week 17, in a game that probably still will be mean Patriots if the Raiders are on their ass, which I expect them to be. So, theoretically, the Dolphins' chances of losing out, I would say, are pretty decent. I mean, it'd be tougher if the Dolphins were playing a team like the Niners. I mean, but these teams, there's no clear-cut favorite. I mean, I project the Dolphins to lose out. They play the Bills, they play the Patriots, and then we need the Ravens to lose out. The Ravens, they get the Steelers, and then they get the Bengals, who they're known to have trouble against. They're in Pittsburgh in a game that I believe a lot of people know that they're going to lose. And that Bengals game, it's not like the Bengals are like their kryptonite. Yeah, the Ravens won earlier this year, but AJ Green's going to be back. AJ Green's going to be healthy. So, the Cincinnati Bengals have a chance at upsetting the Ravens in Week 17, I believe. And then we need Denver to lose 1. That means we need Denver to lose a game to either the Chiefs or the Raiders. I'm almost certain that's going to happen. So, really, the odds of Tennessee making the playoffs as a wild card aren't completely far-fetched. If Buffalo wins, if Buffalo beats the Dolphins, Kansas City beats the Broncos, and the Steelers beat the Ravens, then they're right there in it. All they would need in Week 17 is a win, a Dolphins loss to the Patriots, and a Ravens loss to the Bengals. That is my rant. That is the playoff scenarios for you Titans fans who do watch this and do pay attention to me. Much easier route would just beat the Jaguars and Texans. That's a much easier route to go. So let's hope that happens first and foremost. But we have a little bit of leeway, fortunately. We have a little more wiggle room than just winning the division title. Because a couple weeks ago, it was either win the division title or you're out. Let's face it. Week 8, 9, 10 was rolling around. It was almost certain the 2 AFC West teams are going to become wild cards. But with Denver falling apart, that leaves the door open. So, with that said, we're big Bengals fans for these next 2 weeks, okay? We're huge Bengals fans for these next 2 weeks. They play the Texans and the Ravens. If the Bengals go 2-0 against those 2 teams, things look good. That's all I gotta say. So the Bengals are our second favorite team for the last 2 weeks. Now we're gonna get to the last game. Lions at Cowboys. Oh, how I love it when these 2 teams get together. Because every single time these teams get together, it's almost an instant classic. You look back at Matthew Stafford at the goal line, fake snap. You look at the crazy outing Calvin Johnson had a couple years ago. You look at the playoff game these two teams had, the PI or what? Yeah, was it PI or something like that? The Cowboys, I believe, win this game, but I would not be surprised if the Lions end up doing enough to steal a win here. The Cowboys are good. They're if they roll in to this, they might roll into this game having the first seed already locked up. Think about it that way. The best record, well, actually, not necessarily. If the Seahawks win out and go 11-4-1, what's the Cowboys' record now? 11-2. Yes, so Dallas would need to win one more game to secure home field advantage. But if crazy shit happens this week and the Cardinals beat Seattle and the Giants lose to the Eagles tonight, then Dallas already has home field wrapped up. Just like that. And at that point, are they really playing their starters against Detroit? Just something to think about. So those are my picks. Dallas wins, I believe, 28-24. Those are my picks. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. I know I was kind of laying down this whole thing, but I'm exhausted and I still have presents to wrap. So, thanks for watching. Also, my shout out of the week goes to Beast. Go watch him and his channel. He is a solid YouTube prognosticator. His videos are very creative and very lively. It would make your time worthwhile to go check him out. I'll put his link down in the description or the comment section below. So, have a good night, everyone.